Now, this exit meeting specifically is fueled by Rhule. Our friends over at Rhule, it's a brand new year, and they're all about setting goals, New Year's resolutions, and we actually try to hit those goals on this show, as do you. So Rhule, a great way to help get that done. You don't always have time for breakfast, not always time to grab the exact lunch that you want. So what you got to do is get locked in with Rhule. Their Black Edition ready to drink is a complete meal in a bottle, high in protein, low in sugar, and packed with nutrients your body needs to perform at its best. Now, new customers can try it 15% off plus a free gift using my exclusive code HARDCOUNT15. It's that's HARDCOUNT15. Get locked in over there, 15% off, plus a free gift with that code. That's HUEL at Huel.com. Get locked in. Nutritionally complete meals in minutes so you can focus on what really matters. So the folks over in Nebraska are focusing on what really matters, and what really matters now is phase 3 of the Matt Rhule experience. Because for the longest time, what did we talk about? They could just win a bowl game. If they could just get to a bowl game, monkey off the back, we'd be happy. We'd be throwing parades in the streets of Lincoln, and the vibes would be immaculate once again. Well, you did that. Did it with a true freshman quarterback and 2 coordinators on the offensive side. Now it's about going and actually winning something if you're a Nebraska fan. So really quickly, Nebraska fans, had a lot of y'all get dialed in. If you're a college football sicko, and you are by watching a college football video at the end of January, make sure you're locked in. Make sure you're subscribed. Want to hear from y'all in terms of what you want to see on this show. Appreciate you in advance for being subscribed and for being dialed. So again, no more can they win a bowl. They've done that. That's cool. We're not about winning bowl games in Lincoln, Nebraska, contrary to maybe what recent history has told you. This is a hallowed program with a lot of tradition and a lot of trophies out there in Lincoln. That means something. So phase 3 for Matt Rhule, the reason why we phrase it like that is phase 3 is typically when Matt Rhule does his best work. Like, look at his past 2 jobs at the college level. Temple, year 1, 2 wins. All right, it's not great. It's a project. Year 3, 10 wins, play for a conference title. Baylor, first year, plays as a dumpster fire. 1 win. Baylor, year 3, 11 wins, play for a Big 12 title. For Nebraska, their first year under Matt Rhule was better than either of those years at Baylor and Temple. So in some ways, you felt like maybe you were ahead of schedule. True freshman quarterback, as I've mentioned now a couple of times throughout this segment, in year 2, you get to 7 wins with the bowl win. That's awesome. But the task for Nebraska in year 3 is curious because I don't think it's going to be quite as much continuity as maybe some of those previous teams did for Matt Rhule at Baylor and Temple. You're going to have to be a lot more, I think, Dillon Raiola-centric, which isn't a bad thing. I mean, when you brought Dillon Raiola to Lincoln as a high-profile cat previously committed to Georgia, like, you brought him there to be the reason you won football games. And last year he was in different spots, but also that was a really good defense, a really veteran defense. You knew it was going to be a thing where we're going to run the football, going to play great defense. We're going to try and complement him as much as possible. We're not going to have to ask him to go be Superman every single weekend. And you did that enough to where you won 7 ball games. But now with the way this roster is turned over, you still keep that Matt Rhule, blue-collar grit and attitude and energy and all those things. But I do think you say, Dillon Raiola, just what I said, we brought you here for a reason. This is that year where we need you to take that next step and be that guy. And so I love so much that they went out and got him a Dane Key via the portal. I think that was one of the sneakiest acquisitions, a wide receiver from Kentucky, who was a big play waiting to happen at Kentucky when it comes to his yards per catch. But when you look at the gauntlet for Nebraska that's ahead of them on this 2025 schedule, which is crazy. We're sitting here in January looking at 2025 schedules. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm not even saying I'm predicting this. But if I'm looking across the conference last year and seeing what Indiana did and during their schedule, Nebraska's schedule isn't as favorable, but what's keeping Nebraska from doing what Indiana did? Now, I'm not predicting 10 wins, but just take a look at this. You got Michigan at home, potentially with a freshman quarterback. You got USC at home in November. You have non-conference of Cincinnati, Akron, and Houston Christian. I believe you go to Penn State towards the end of the year, but no Ohio State, no Oregon. I'm just saying there's a path there. It's not the craziest thing in the world to think that if we're going to go ahead and say that Matt Rhule does what he does in year 3, which is have a big pop year and they go win double-digit games, that puts you in the playoff. Now, hear me clearly. The Big 12, God bless them, and Temple playing in the American, it's a different conference than the Big 10. But again, I don't think it's the most ignorant thought in the world to assume that could be Nebraska's path. It goes back to Raiola, though. Can you go from being the quarterback to being the guy? And we've said it a lot on this show around different cats, but I'll say it right now around Raiola. Last year, he was confident. I think he was a catalyst in a lot of ways, but for him, the next step is elevating everyone else around him. That's the next step. Can you be the guy? Can you be the reason why on 3rd and 7, third and 8 plus, we go pick up the first down? Maybe the protection's not perfect. Maybe we don't get the look that we want. I love adding Dana Holgerson. We skipped over that. I think you saw ROI from the jump. But can you take Dillon Raiola's first year and show me there's real progress, real light bulbs going on over the course of the spring into the fall, and be the reason why Nebraska, if they got to go win a shootout, brought him there for a reason. Can he go be the reason you win a shootout? I think that's probably the next step for him, and you might have to depend on that a little bit more with what you lose from this team. So again, I'm not trying to sell hopium. I'm not trying to pander. I'm just saying if I look at this schedule from a Nebraska fan, it feels very workable. I like the momentum. I like Dillon Raiola and what he was as a recruit, and I like Matt Rhule in year 3. Some things are certain in life. Death, taxes, and Matt Rhule doing his best work in year 3. And that's where I'd place my money. Even if they don't go to the college football playoff, I'd place my money if I'm a Nebraska fan on an improvement from this past season.